really apologetic for what? I'm just trying to hold butts.
That's right, exactly.
I got one of those potato chip things.
KTSA News Time is 10:10 on this Friday morning. Sorry to announce we had to cancel the Jack Riccardi Show fireworks display.
What?
Due to the drought, we could not get an exemption from the city of San Antonio, so we instead substituted Gang of Four.
Let the verbal fireworks begin.
Right,
Same
maybe
effect.
they'll be as exciting. On our gang today, as we kick around the big stories of the week, is comedian, entertainer, and columnist Jade Esteban Estrada. You can read him in plazathearmistx.com, where he writes Glitter Political.
Correct.
Jade, welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
What are you experiencing a letdown with the end of the city elections, or?
No, not at all. I was hoping to get a part in your little radio play of the drunk guy at the bar that you were doing.
How was
earlier
that?
Now.
Was that pretty
I loved
good?
that. You just
Thank
you gave your soul
My
to that
finest
role.
performance.
I
Thank
loved
you.
it.
Well, you act what you know, Jade. Any gigs coming up? Anything you want to promote?
Well, yeah, I'm going all along the East Coast from August to September, but July is totally wonderfully off, and I'm so happy.
Wow, you get to take a whole month off. Good
it's
for you.
wonderful. It's wonderful. Usually I do that with July and December.
Very nice.
Yeah, I try to anyway.
All right, Jade Esteban Estrada here. Also with us today on Gang of Four, he is the keeper of the cakes, the owner of the Magnolia Pancake House, soon to be a TV star whenever they get around to running.
Yeah, you know, who knows?
On Food Network. You taped this thing with Guy Fieri, but who knows when it's going to be
February
on.
1st, every time I say, what do you think? And, you know, they always say, well, it's 30 days. So we're always 30 days out from being on television as far as I'm concerned.
When we were there for the listener lunch a couple of weeks ago, I have to ask, there was this huge picture of Guy Fieri. I mean, it was like a life-size picture of
It's
the guy.
pretty big.
Did they make you put that up for being on the show?
No,
or
they
did
give
you?
it to you. They
give you a poster.
Yeah,
of Guy
and
Fieri.
Guy personally signs a poster to you, and they recommend that you put it up.
They recommend
that you put it up. And so
it's good for you.
So we did put it up. And
Hate for something to happen to this nice restaurant.
Exactly. That's right. That's right. Greek lightning. So we put it up, and now people stand there and have their picture taken at it.
Wow.
Which is exactly what we had.
That
hoped
wasn't
would
what
happen.
I thought of when I saw it.
So if I give you my life size,
Sure, Steve. We'll put your picture up.
Yeah,
We'll highly recommend that you put it up.
He didn't say where he would put it up. The third voice you just heard is the judge, Steve Hilbig, judge on the Texas 4th Court of Appeals, and former Bexar County District Attorney.
Yeah.
Steve Hilbig, welcome
can't hold
back.
a job. Thank you.
What's new with you?
Oh, just waiting to get to the 4th. I'm going to try to do some fishing.
Very nice.
Don't get to go down to the coast much, and I have redfish withdrawal, so I hope to get down there.
How's life on the bench these days?
It's you know, pushing it. We're trying to make sure that we try to get all the cases that were assigned to us in the fiscal year out before the end of August, and so we're making a big push trying to get justice out for people.
Yeah. And are you liking it? I mean, is this something you want to continue to do?
Yeah, you know, it's kind of interesting. I talked with the supporter yesterday, and they were saying, like, well, gee, don't you miss the trial court? And I said, well, I do. But he says, well, do you find this rewarding? And I had to explain to him that, you know, we don't legislate, all right, but when we make decisions, we in effect make the law or make rules that folks have to follow. And so he was showing me a legal document, and I said, well, you see where this the lawyer said this is the law, then it said Texas Civil Appeals Houston. I said, or Texas Court of Appeals Houston. See, that's so they cite to us. So
Heady stuff. Pretty powerful.
Can be, but that's why you want the right people up there.
I think we have the right people.
Well, thank you for that.
In your
Appreciate
case,
it.
at least.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look. If this week had a visual image that would symbolize the whole week, I have to say, with regret, that it probably is that soggy Depends diaper that the TSA peeled off a 95-year-old woman in Florida.
Yeah.
And as the week has gone on, it's been a bad week for the TSA. We've had other stories that are almost as bad as that. Mentally disabled man had his plastic toy hammer taken away. I mean, look, when would you, Robert, you're an employer, at what point do you fire people for this kind of serial incompetence? It's not even the exception to the rule anymore.
But it's not just any individual officer in the TSA.
I'm not firing the whole agency.
It's systemic. I came through O'Hare last week, Jack. A woman next to me went through the rapid scan. They put her. She was in a dress. She was in her late 30s, early 40s. Obviously, a traveling professional. They put her through a pat down. She happened to come up behind us in the line to get sat in a cafe for a little breakfast. I said, did they offer to buy breakfast and maybe take you to a movie for the date you just had with this TSA? It was incredible. Absolutely inexcusable. And then the thing with the little kids and the thing with the person in the diaper, and all the while other people are just passing through. And I will tell you this also, the rapid scan, they only use it about 25% of the time.
And of course, we had the guy, you heard this story, who flew from Kennedy, which is not a high security airport, I mean Kennedy Airport, to LA, no terror target there, with a day-old boarding pass under somebody else's name, and he didn't have corroborating ID.
But
Jade,
look,
think how much easier it's going to be for you to travel all over the place when you don't have to have boarding passes.
You don't even have to fly on the right day.
Just smile and wink and get on the plane.
I do that very well.
What are we, I mean, don't you think you just got to start all over again here? This isn't going to be fixed.
You know what? I got to backtrack just a little bit. A friend of mine who listens to your show all the time, she's like, she has she has little flags like this, in her house. She says, I am an American. And she was talking about how ridiculous this whole, diaper thing is, and she goes, I can't believe this, and she was thinking that the whole world is going to agree with her. And I had to stop, and I said, you know what? My mom is one of those people who, if a stranger would come up to her and say, would you please take this on the... She doesn't think of the rules right away. She just goes, well, of course I would. There are a lot of people who are like that. And I think we have rules like this, just to play the devil's advocate, of, I know that it goes overboard with the pat down and all that stuff, which I personally enjoy very much. But we have to have rules like this.
He tries to arrange it ahead of time.
I do. Shower and stuff.
He goes in, terrorist.
He just doesn't take the stuff out of his pockets. That's all it takes.
Exactly. I put stuff in my pockets.
Yeah,
so we have to have rules like this because there are people who are not aware. And those will be the ends.
But what you're saying, Jade, is we have to have security. No one is disagreeing with that.
Right.
These mall cops are not security. This is not security.
And he's absolutely right. I was at O'Hare during a shift change, Jack, and, they're all having their little meeting outside of, like, be aware of this, be aware of that. And I really hate to be this way, but it is like a collection of the gang that couldn't shoot straight, man. I mean, this TSA is full employment for probably the least employable people out there. It's unbelievable who they recruit.
The problem is, though, we do it to ourselves in that the politicians think by having that sort of show going on, it makes us feel more secure. It doesn't make us secure. It is stupid. And, I haven't flown, and it's not because I'm afraid or anything. I don't want to go through the dang hassle. I'd rather spend 5 hours in the car, 7 hours in the car.
There's a lot of people like you, Judge. A lot of people like you.
It's just so stupid. It doesn't do any good. They ought to just stop it. If you want to have true security out there and profile, that's great. But to have people say we're going to rip the diaper off an old lady because we want to make sure that if we look at this other person, they're not going to complain about the fact that we're so-called profiling them. Well, that's what good people do. You look for out of the ordinary. You look for someone who says, I have some reasonable suspicion that this person might be a person of interest, and so I'm going to focus my attention on them. But it is so stupid to do what we're doing right now.
We're going to come back and talk about a lot more with our gang. And, of course, you can vote in the JR poll at 599-5555 or hang with the gang and have a comment for the Gang of Four on News Talk 550 KTSA. And a quick reminder that we always podcast Gang of Four, so you can find previous episodes on the Jack Riccardi page at ktsa.com. In the newsroom, here's Karen. KTSA News Time is 10:24. Jack Riccardi on News Talk 550 KTSA. It's Gang of Four for a Friday. On the gang today, Robert Fleming, camera catch up, Steve Hilbig, Jade Esteban Estrada.
I'm sorry.
This week, the This week, the boom was lowered on the two big theme parks. They were told no 4th of July fireworks. SeaWorld said okay. Fiesta Texas said we disagree. We think we should be allowed to go forward, offering up, for example, the fact that they're very proficient at fireworks. They do it year-round. They'll be very careful. They promise to be careful. And then chiming in were people in the hotel and tourism industry saying, oh, this will be hugely damaging. So many people are going to be disappointed that there are no fireworks in San Antonio, that they'll change their travel plans. They'll go to some city that does have them, like Corpus.
That's why I believe it.
Should the theme parks have been exempt from a rule everybody else is supposed to follow?
I'll offer this. I think that consistency is a symbol of a small mind. I've heard before. Look, if the theme parks has been doing this, and I think Fiesta Texas does it nightly, doesn't it?
Yes.
I think. Okay. I mean, why do we think that they're going to say, you know what, on July 4th, let's just have a big fire out here, and we'll set all the cars on fire in the parking lot and, you know, mess things up? I mean, it's pretty ridiculous that if somebody has a track record of being able to do things, if what we're really worried about is saying we don't want people to catch things on fire, then why not encourage the folks that know how to do it, have a history of doing it, continue to let them be able to do it, and those that need their fireworks fixed on the 4th can certainly go out there. The fact that it might bring them business, what's wrong with that?
Okay, so you would say they should have an exemption?
I would say that the folks that have demonstrated that they are able to do it, yeah.
I think if you're worried about them causing damage or something or starting a fire, let them post $1 million bond. But I agree with the judge. They have been doing it, and they do know how to do it. And so, you know, if they're willing to put the security up, you probably ought to let them do it.
Jade, what do you think?
I agree. Actually, I've been thinking about this for a while, just since I saw it on your poll, and I kept thinking and thinking. But Steve, that makes a lot of sense. That, you know, if somebody if they're trained and they do it all the time, what's the problem? If it's just in one place.
What I'm kind of surprised though is a place like SeaWorld and Fiesta Texas hasn't developed an alternative. You know, Schertz has a little festival, and I heard that since they're not going to have fireworks, they're going to have a laser light show. Well, I mean, who besides Fiesta Texas and SeaWorld has the financial wherewithal to create a really fantastic laser light show that would fill in, and they could probably use as part of their marketing? That's a freebie to you guys, by the way. It's Mr. Pancake who gave it to you. But I'm saying, why haven't they done that?
Look, I'll tell you why, because they probably already bought the fireworks. I gotta say, when I heard this, you know what it sounded like to me? Wah, wah.
Oh, it's whining.
But on which side? On which side?
On the part of Fiesta Texas. If it's a rule, it's a rule.
But what's the purpose behind the rule?
My dad was a firefighter, and I never saw him afraid of anything in his life except fire. And he told me, and he used to tell us all the time, never think you can predict what fire will do. You cannot get into a situation where, oh, we've been doing this a long time, we know what's going on, we've thought of everything. We're in a very extraordinary set of circumstances here. I personally am not willing to take the risk so that some people can enjoy fireworks of looking like New Mexico or Arizona look right now. And I really, if this is the thinking, and with all due respect, Judge,
sure,
a lot of people said what you said, but if this is the thinking, then maybe instead of a ban on fireworks, we ought to license people to use fireworks.
Well,
because by your argument, we could say, wait a minute, by your argument, we could say fireworks should be used only by people who have this track record and this demonstrable ability. We shouldn't sell them to the general public. We shouldn't let a place like the city of Schertz that only does it once a year do it.
Well, they hire someone to do it.
But I would just say, if it's a rule and it's a safety issue and fire is unpredictable, go without the fireworks.
Well, but to your point, we already do license people. You have to have a license to have those sorts of displays and everything.
But instead of the fireworks ban, what we should just do is restrict the number of people who can have fireworks.
No, well, I'll go back to, I think, given what we have in our environment, and you know, I've got property out in hill country, and man, we need 3 hurricanes to come up that way to just, you know, put water back into the land. It is dry. The weeds aren't even coming up. But what we have then is we say, okay, well, we cannot let the general public go out and indiscriminately shoot fireworks. I mean, that is perfectly acceptable.
Well, I mean, they're not allowed in the city limits. They're only, you know, and they only sell them right outside of the city limits. I really think that, you know, the problem is, and most of the damage done by fireworks is not done by professional pyrotechnicians. But it's done by regular citizens.
So that ban is appropriate. All I'm getting to is that that we have a company or companies that already have a venue. It's not like church where we're creating a venue. We do it once a year, and so yeah, there could be problems with that. Heck, Utopia, Texas has a great fireworks display. They're not doing theirs this year. I support that.